welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. In this podcast, I interview successful business leaders and industry experts to help you grow your business. In this episode, I had an interesting discussion with Lisa Raebel. She is a keynote speaker and a founder of Raebel Girl Marketing. Lisa developed her proprietary Raebel mindset approach after 25 years as a successful marketing executive and a leading sales professional. Lisa cuts through the noise and breaks marketing down to what makes sense for a client, creating strategies that are simple and relatable to the target audience, and resulting in a double-digit sales growth year after year. She's also an author of The Raebel Girl's Guide to Marketing, and she's also a podcast host. And during our discussion, we talk about many different topics around both sales and marketing departments. She mentioned how over-complex and complicated marketing strategies is one of the main reasons why business leaders or business owners don't get the result of what they're looking for. She talks about how to build clarity, confidence, momentum in both sales and marketing department. She also outlined the step-by-step process how to align both sales and marketing departments so they are geared toward achieving the same goals and outcomes in a business. She talks about how to build the strategies for both marketing and sales department and also how to implement those strategies as well to achieve your business goals. I hope you enjoyed the discussion as much as I did, and don't forget to send me your feedback. Please welcome Lisa Raebel. Hi guys, welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. Today my guest is Lisa Raebel. Lisa, I pronounced it right? It's Raebel, right?
Yes, Raebel. Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to a discussion, looking forward to learning from your area expertise in marketing and sales. I'm looking forward to learning from you. I think this is one of the puzzle that business owner always struggle with. Marketing is not their core strength. So I'm looking forward to learning from you, looking forward to a discussions. Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show.
Okay, beautiful. So tell us a little bit about your company. It's the company name is Raebel the Marketing Girl, right? Is that the company name? Or?
It's Raebel Girl Marketing. Yeah, that's what the company
backwards.
name is.
Very interesting name.
Okay.
So walk us through, what do you do and how do you help our business leaders?
So Raebel Girl Marketing was born out of the fact that a lot of the things that I did in corporate America, whether it was corporate sales or marketing director type of work, I was making a lot of other people a lot of money by increasing their sales. And so when I talked to small business owners, they were like, if I could have you for like 6 months, 8 months top, and teach me how to market and teach me how to do sales, then I think I could move forward with my business. And so what I did is I created Raebel Girl Marketing because I want people to think differently about marketing, not what they read in articles and the books, all the books have to say. I want them to think differently about how they approach marketing, which is why Raebel Girl was born and why it just reminds me every day with that name to stay different, to stay than everybody else. So, and I love helping small businesses stay in business and medium to large businesses, depending upon the project. Absolutely.
Very interesting. So, I know my colleagues, business leaders, people who run a businesses. This is an area we all struggle because that's not our backgrounds normally. So, where do you see some of the biggest mistake, or what do business leaders get it wrong when it comes to marketing?
They think marketing and sales is all about, this is going to sound counterintuitive, but it's all about making the sale. Where they miss the mark, it's about building the relationship, especially post-COVID. It's about trust. It's about building relationships that will bring the sales. If you're there just to make a quick sale, that's all you're going to do is make a quick sale. You don't have that like residual sales going forward. If you build a relationship, you're going to have more sales. I mean, the statistics will tell you, I can't quote the source right now, but an existing customer will actually buy 67% more than a new customer. And it's 60 to 80% easier to sell to a customer you already have a relationship with than it is to try to find new customers. So if you're constantly finding new customers all the time and not selling to existing customers, you're missing a huge profit margin. And so what I think the biggest mistake is that they think sales and marketing is just about making the sale when it's literally about building relationships with their customers.
And I made that mistake as well. It's sometimes as business leader, we think just sending out emails or sending out just a messaging out as a marketing, where there's no strategy behind it. It's simply just us sending the messages out, right? Is that one of the mistakes that we don't put any strategy together? We simply just try to communicate with the client, just out of no plans.
Yeah, we call it the spray and pray, right? Like we send out emails, we do social posts, and like somebody's going to see it and buy from us.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a strategy. So I like to think about marketing and sales as like nutrition for your business. If you all you do is eat like 3 pizzas and 2 pitchers of beer in one day, like you just gorge on like all of this stuff, it's not going to sustain you long term. So if you have this huge marketing like guerrilla campaign, I made all these posts and I did all these emails and I'm doing all this stuff and you do nothing else,
Yeah.
it's not sustainable. So every day you feed it a little bit and you do the things that make sense, that are nourishing to your business, instead of just like, I did a huge campaign, then I stop. And then I do a huge campaign and then I stop. And so it's little tiny things every single day that sustain the marketing aspect of, which is all about awareness.
So
You
I
see
know,
something once, you're not going to remember it, right?
yeah, it has to be repeated messages over and consistently, it's consistent messages as well, right? So business leaders, I know a lot of business leaders, they're looking at the 2024 at the moment. They're looking at, we just came out of disruption, COVID for the last few years. They want to scale their companies. So where do they start when it comes to strategy, start building a plans for next year? So where do they start and how do they build strategy?
So what I like to do, especially in an established business. So if you've been in business 3, 4, 5 or more years, I like for you guys to pull back. What happens is that people go like, charge forward, bigger, better, better, right? Like we're always like moving forward. But what happens is that businesses' philosophies, their cultures, their products, their customers change over time. Like you might think in the beginning your customer is A, when that was just kind of a pain in the what customer, and you actually like customer B. Well, your marketing might still be going towards this, trying to attract this kind of customer. And you have to pull back. You have to stop and ask 5 very critical questions when you want to start to build your marketing strategy. And without those 5 questions being answered before you build your marketing strategy, you might be spinning your wheels, wasting time and, unfortunately, money and resources on marketing.
Especially what we saw in a COVID. I know a lot of companies, they have to reinvent their product. They have to reinvent their services, what they do. Everything has changed. It's nothing status quo anymore, right? So when you go through, and technology changes, business changes, right? So if you go through that kind of drastic changes around your business, marketing cannot be the same. You got to reinvent, what are you trying to do and how do you communicate with the customers, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always good annually to sit down and kind of go, okay, are we attracting the right kind of customers? Are we bringing in the right, are we in the right place? Do we have the right message? Because marketing is like a 3-legged stool. You have to know who you're talking to, where they are, and saying the right thing. Without one of those 3 things, you're going to fall over. And so it's good to keep making sure that that all of that foundational strategy is intact before you spend a whole lot of time and money on your marketing strategy.
So you mentioned the 3 points, who they are, and what was the second one, Lisa?
Where they hang out. So like what channels are you going to? Are they on social? Are they on TV? Are they on the right? Like where are they? Where do they digest and find the information? And then what are you saying? Because you could have the exact right target and head in the exact right place, but if you're not saying the right thing, you're not going to connect with them. And so all 3 of those pieces are extremely important. And all 3 of those pieces are part of the 5 questions you ask yourself when it comes to marketing strategy.
Okay. So before we get to the 5 questions, so what in terms of what you're saying to the customer, is that where a story plays a role, or where does telling story comes into play?
Absolutely. In the book, I talk about how the story is yours, but the journey is theirs. So it's your story, it's your product, it's your company, but the customer's journey is the customer's. And that's what you're selling. You're selling the journey that they're going to take, both before, during, and after they interact with you. And so it's absolutely about the story, but it's about telling the story in a way that the customer understands. And it's not just using industry jargon and, abbreviations and things like that, but what are the emotions? How will they relate to you? How are you relatable? And so you find out what that message is and how you can solve their problems or provide their solutions of, they're out there looking for you. Are you using content that grabs their attention and makes them want to learn more? That's the
That is
content.
that is such a great point you just made. I want to make sure that people get that right. So you mentioned the journey is theirs. Very often
Yes.
when we deal with the systems or we deal with the consultants, we talk about let's figure out customer journey, and we just putting our version of it, a customer journey, not what client's version is, right? Very often there's so many tools out there, so many people I know they talk about customer journey, but what they're actually doing, that is their version of customer journey should be. But that's not the reality. It's a customer perception of what journey they go through, right? So I think that's such a
Yes.
great point you made.
Yeah, I actually had a client who they do most of their stuff through e-commerce. And so they were having really bad like opt-out rates, like really high opt-out rates. And they thought their email strategy was bad. But their email strategy was just a symptom of a much deeper problem in the client experience. And so sometimes we think, oh, we just need to fix this and it'll be fine. When you don't look deep enough, it's like when you're sick. If you have a cough, that might be a symptom to something else. A poor part of your marketing strategy might just be a symptom of something deeper in the whole customer experience that is leading to whatever that problem might be. And so that's the other thing about marketing strategy, is that people only look at the one area that seems to be a problem, when actually a lot of times that's just a symptom to a much bigger problem in your marketing.
Wow, very interesting. So let's talk about, if you can share those couple of those questions you mentioned. You mentioned 5 questions. If you can share a couple of them, what should be people thinking about when they're building a strategies?
Well, the first question you should always ask yourself is, I don't mean to should on anybody, but the first very important question is, why do you need marketing in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a customer who had plenty of clients. She was at capacity for clients, but she wanted to still increase sales. So she built a strategy around upselling existing customers. So in my opinion, there are six basic reasons why you would need marketing. The first one is to gain new business. You need new customers. The second one is you might want to launch a new product. Another one is maybe you want to establish yourself as a subject matter expert.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to do a hiring strategy. So those are just a few of the base reasons of why you need marketing in the first place. Once you figure out why you need marketing, then you figure out, who are my customers? Yeah. And people skip a very important part of identifying an ideal customer. They think of the demographics, right? The measurable stuff. Where do they live? What do they buy? What's their income? What's their title? All the demographics. They forget about the psychographics. Because in the psychographics, what are their belief systems? What are their passions? What are their intrigues? What are the problems they're trying to solve? Where are their pain points, right? And with that, you can tie it better to creating better content. Because once you understand the psychographics of the customer, why they buy, I hate to tell you this, but I don't care what people buy, there's emotions tied to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so the psychographics are extremely important when it comes to that. So that's question 2. What am I selling? And the emotions that are tied. The customers, and then the product. Like, what am I truly selling? People think about features and benefits when it's really about the problems you solve and solutions you provide. People don't care if the pen clicks or if it does whatever. They want to know, how does it write? Is it solving my problems? I'm holding a pen, which is why I'm thinking of a pen right now.
Yeah. So you got to nail down what the problem is in a market. That's your understanding of the market, and then how you solve the problem, right?
Yeah. And then it's, where do they hang out? Where am I going to go? Am I going to go to social? Am I going to go to billboards? Am I going to go to TV, radio, wherever that is? And the last part of it is, once I know who I'm talking to, what I'm selling, where they hang out, it's making sure the content connects. It connects to them, because the whole point about marketing is to get them through the know, like, trust. And that's a concept within sales and marketing that's very common. No, they have to know you exist, they like what you say, and then they trust you enough to buy. And marketing will get you through the know and the like, but sales takes marketing from like to trust.
Okay.
And that's why sales and marketing have to work together to be able to truly increase the revenue and the effectiveness of your sales and marketing process.
Yeah, very often you see there's so much disconnect between these two departments, sales and marketing, right? People always debate what comes first. They're both tied together.
Yes. And it drives me insane. I actually go off on a bit of a rant in one of my chapters of the book because I see it all the time. And in here, if you're listening to this and your sales and marketing department are like at each other, here's the question you want to ask both of the leaders and maybe even the departments. And I have strategies built completely around making them play nice in the sandbox. You're both on the same road, heading in the same direction with the same destiny. Why are you trying to run each other off the road? And that's the initial question I always ask sales and marketing leaders. Why are you trying to run each other off the road?
Yeah. Interesting.
So
based on finding your clients, journey and all the content we talk about, we talk about find their profile. Does your story changes to target these clients, Lisa, or story is it something original? Or you just change the content around it?
Well, the story is usually the same. The content might change because part of that whole ideal, like finding that ideal customer, is about finding where they hang, like who the target audience is, like where do they go? And so another thing that people tend to get wrong is they go directly to the people who write the check. When a lot of the time, the person who writes the check doesn't care. They're just telling me, like, where do I write the check? Somebody else has to go say, is this the proper person to buy from or a company to buy from? And so they forget about the influencers, like who is influencing the buyers and the end users. So when I build marketing strategies with my customers, we identify not only who the check writers are, who are the buyers, but who are the end users, and then who are the influencers of those two people. And that's where there's a big gap in people's strategy.
Wow. And you provide information based on what the role is okay.
Yep.
Very interesting. Where does that internal marketing comes in? I know a lot of business leaders are also struggling with this, is that, during this pandemic, their employees working at home, you got to build that, that same, you're going to bring in the same level as you are when it comes to the team culture, mindset. You got to build a team. Recruiting is one of the obstacle a lot of people are dealing with. How do you make the company appealing that the people want to work for you? So where does this internal marketing comes in, and the messaging comes from when you're trying to build a strategy?
Well, first of all, I think we need to switch our mindset on, I sent you a paycheck, so you should do the job. That is old school thinking that is completely dead and gone. And so it's not about a paycheck, especially the emerging leaders that are coming up. They need to make money, but they don't have the same ambitions and drives as previous generations. Like, I want to have this car and I want to have this kind of house and my kids need to go here. I mean, like, the material kind of pursuits are not as important to them as the work-life balance. Not that I want to have fun at work all day long, like blah, 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 let's have fun. It's not that. It's like, I want to do my job and get it done really well and still have time to have a life outside of work. Because I'm not sure if you probably are one of these people, but you know, that 60-hour work week was just a common thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in my 20s and 30s, it was not uncommon. That was just like, that was a regular work week. And that's just not what the emerging leaders are looking for. This emerging generation is looking for, I want to work hard and I want to do a good job, but I want to spend 60 hours in an office. And it's not that they don't want to do the work. And some do. I'm very much generalizing here. So please take this as as what it is. But the motivations are different. So that internal marketing question that you asked me, it's about understanding who your employees are and what are their motivators. That psychographic again of what are the motivators. And so it's really important to understand that, to be able to understand what kind of a messaging you need to have instead of work harder, make more money, have more stuff. But I'm not sure about you, but I remember the days where, like, I had this stuff, I just didn't have time to enjoy it because I was always working. And so it's understanding who your employees are is vital to understand the content you need to have for your internal marketing.
Yeah, because your staff is going to be connected to social media. They're going to be connected to all this, the internet. There's so much digital messaging out there. And there's so much information out there. Either you're going to influence them a certain way that you want to, or somebody else is going to do that, right? So you need to build a marketing, and definitely if one of our initiatives has been that take more training, focus on a training, personal development. So you could help company and help yourself, because you're doing a lot of personal development. So we always try to push those messages out and try to encourage everybody to take more training and better for them, whether it's mental health, or whether it's product training, or whether it's a customer service, but some sort of training. You got to keep training yourself on that. So I think those messages helps when you do a marketing around those areas, that whatever you're trying to do to help people to understand. But if you don't do that as a business leaders, definitely how they're gonna be encouraged to do more training. You bring those people up, that help them understand some of that stuff.
Yeah, and there's an organization, two organizations that I work with when it comes to recruiting, to helping my clients with the recruiting of their ideal employees, and a lot of it has to do with the predictive index and the DISC and all of the other assessments that they have. Mm-hmm. If you understand how your employees think and understand the motivations, you have a better chance of finding an employee that's going to stick. I have one client who would hire, somebody who had was still breathing and had a decent resume, but there was a lot of turnover. And then they hired a recruiting company to say, okay, well, let's figure out what that whole psychographic is, not just the demographic and what their qualifications are, but like, are they going to fit into the company culture? Mm-hmm. And so that's how you find that long-term like star employee. And, again, there's statistics out there that say that for every turnover that you have, it's about 2.5 times that person's salary, based on the fact that of lost productivity and recruiting costs and onboarding and all that other stuff. And so there's a financial and a psychological reason to make sure that your recruiting, your internal marketing and your recruiting marketing is also extremely important as trying to find new customers.
Yeah, I happen to hire a lot of young people as well for my business. I go through a lot of interviews, talk to a lot of people. One of my favorite questions is, for every interview, ask, why do you want to change position where you at currently? Why do you want to take a different, go a different route, that you work in in a company for 3-4 years? One of the very common answer I find from these people is that they're not clear on where the company is heading to, or they're not clear on where business leaders are heading to. I get that all the time. We don't get any updates. We don't know what the company's heading to. We talk about it, and we don't get any updates. So that's the biggest confusion. And I'm thinking that's opportunity. If employees don't know where the company is going, they don't know what the leaders, moving this company to, they're definitely gonna get disengaged, and they're gonna look for other opportunities. If this is a reason they're doing it, I better do a better job to make sure that you communicate which direction you're going, what are you dealing with, so they're aware of what challenges you're up against.
Yeah, we used to do town halls at one of the companies that I used to work for. So we traveled to 3 different office locations, and give them the same presentation. We talk about not all the details of the financials, but like, this is where most of our sales are, and this is what we want to develop, and we see lower sales in this, so we're going to fix the product to increase the sales. And here's where we just let them know. And then what we did is we asked them their ideas, because what leaders need to understand is that they don't have all the best ideas. The people working in the business a lot of the time have the better marketing ideas and the better solutions to fix the problem, because they're the ones working on the product all the time. Absolutely. And they fail to ask the question, what can we do to improve? Just because you hold the title and maybe you have a door on your office doesn't mean that you have the best ideas. And going down to the people, I had a client who was a manufacturing client, and I had him pull in his production manager into a marketing meeting. He thought I was crazy. And I said, he touches your product every day. You don't think he's got an idea or two about how to market it? Yeah. And so it was amazing, the results. And I think we have to stop thinking like leadership are the only people who can help with those types of situations. And so the town meeting actually produced so many great ideas to help improve product lines that really helped increase sales over the years. It was amazing. It was quite amazing. Yeah, no, very interesting. People normally have a better ideas than, the business leaders, because they are, as you mentioned, they're working in, product and services all the time. They have a much better idea than we could ever think of. You need the feedback in order to build that.
So business leaders, let's go back to, you mentioned 5 questions as well, Lisa. We talk about those 3 points as well. So business leader who looking to build their strategies, they are looking here. How do we get back in the revenue levels we were before? So what is the starting point? What do you recommend? Where do they start from if they haven't built a strategy before? They're simply looking to, get out of those, there's trial and error kind of marketing, and they need to build a proper strategy. How do they? What's the starting point? Where do they start from?
Asking yourself why you need marketing in the first place.
So just some basic questions.
Goals? What are your goals? It's the same reason, but I think, even just going to the grocery store with the strategy, right? You spend less money and you spend less time at the grocery store instead of just wandering around and buying stuff. It's the same concept. Why do I need to go there in the first? What is my reason for doing the marketing in the first place?
Got it.
Is it to upsell customers? Is it to find new customers? Is it to become a subject matter expert and get on more stages? I mean, you just need to figure out why you need marketing. Once you know why you need marketing, then we'll figure out, what are we trying to sell? Who are we trying to sell it to? And all of those other things. But if you don't understand why you need marketing, your strategy is just, you're going to continue to throw that's pasta against the wall to see if it sticks. And again, a lot of wasted time and resources. Yeah.
Did that, some of those, lot of it's a communication. Did a lot of technologies, a lot of innovations happen in a marketing space during this last few years in COVID? Did a lot of change? Because I know a lot of other businesses, they have to reinvent themselves. They have to figure out new product and services. Technology changes as we talk about it. Did a lot change in the marketing, how people communicate, how people reconnected, did that change the landscape in the marketing area?
Well, yes, absolutely. Because people are spending more time in their pajama pants at home, right, on their computers, instead of walking around the office and having internal meetings and all that other stuff. So it's basically just technology. So it's twofold if you think about it. One, once the computer is shut, nobody wants to see another email.
Yeah.
And so that goes back to that goes back to the psychographic. Yeah. So then it becomes, where are they going outside of the office to be able to digest their information? Where are they socially? Where are they hanging out, like I'd like to say? And so what happens is that, if you're on a computer all day, I'm telling you right now that as soon as my computer shuts at the end of the day, I am not opening that thing again until the next day, because I just can't handle anymore, right? So you have to understand how people digest the information. And so the other part of it is because we're not driving to and from offices as much, those billboard ads are going to be a little bit different, but then maybe they are. And so people they think about those kinds of things as old school, but I can tell you right now that I had a outdoor sporting customer, and they had a shorter season based on weather, but they had an increase of $150,000 in sales in that shorter time period. Wow. Because we were where they were hanging out. So it does work. Again, you have to ask yourself the 5 questions. Without the 5 questions, you are just dead in the water.
Yeah, we noticed that as well. We run a technology business, and definitely our people we talk to as a senior, normally, above age 50, I would say, most business leaders in my area is there. So we find the same thing, that, technology was not the right, the vehicle for us, because that's not, they were hanging out, as you mentioned. But the phone call was, they were more open to take a phone call instead of doing a Zoom call or just having a messages on marketing emails. And so that kind of worked very well for us. So during the last 3-4 years, we've been just emphasizing more on a phone call, just a conversation on a call that delivered a lot more fruits for us than simply doing a Zoom meetings or sending emails out or social media, because the people were more willing to take a phone calls and just have a discussion on a phone calls. And you can call any time of the day. Than compared to sending that marketing emails out.
Right, that they may or may not open. And the nice thing about the phone call is you're building a relationship. So again, we talk about people, at the very beginning, we had the conversation, we talked about one of the biggest mistakes is they're trying to sell the product and not build a relationship with the customer. And that is a huge mistake. And that's what you're doing brilliantly, it sounds like, is building that relationship with the customer. So 2 things are going to happen. The awareness is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a marketing strategist, it's my job to make sure that your clients and your prospects think of you first when they have a need for what you sell.
Yeah.
And so that's marketing strategy 101. I might not need IT right now, but when I do, I want to think
Who
about
do you
you
think of it?
first.
Yeah. Who do you think of?
Yeah. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what marketing is all about, which is why I keep talking about it's not like the big, huge pizza and beer party, like the big, huge marketing thing and then do nothing. It's
Mm-hmm.
that constant nutrition, that constant building of the marketing all the time, that when you think of a certain need that you have, I mean, I'm going to do this right now to whoever's listening to this. You need to buy a new car. What's the first dealership you think of? Not type of car, not maker, but the dealership. Who would you go to? The same thing goes for anything else. You need milk. You need to go to the grocery store. What's the first grocery store that comes to your mind? And now that could be because you use that a lot. That's a very daily thing, a daily use thing, but there's going to be something that you think of first.
So do you
And
go back
that's
to
what
your
marketing is.
So do you go back to your previous positive experience and then you go back to that place? So if you had a positive experience with a dealership ABC, do you just go back to that by default? Is that human nature?
It's going to be whatever is first in mind. It may not be a dealership that you've ever been to. It might be you've just seen marketing a lot for a specific dealership, or it might be not a grocery store that you go to a lot, but you've seen a lot of their marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's more about like brand awareness. That doesn't mean you're going to go to that dealership or that grocery store, but it's the one you thought of first. And that's what marketing does. It helps you be top of mind when the need arises for whatever you sell.
Very interesting. Yeah, no, every time either I'm buying a car or I go to grocery, I know what I'm going to think about. I'm going to think of the most convenient because that's what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people have a different motives. When what comes to your mind is based on what their intentions are, what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but the positive negative experience that we were talking about earlier is I will pass 2 grocery stores to get to the one that I know I'm going to have a positive experience at if I've had a negative experience at the other 2. And so it's, again, that goes back to customer awareness. So this is what I challenge people all the time, which is that rebel mindset aspect of things, is that everything that you do in a day applies to your marketing. Everything from how you show up at a business meeting or how you show up on a Zoom call or how quickly you respond to emails or phone, all the things that you do, even the thanking the customer on an invoice applies to your marketing. Mm-hmm. And here's a question that I usually ask, and people kind of do this do you know what the voicemail on your cell phone, the greeting voicemail on your cell phone sounds like?
Yeah.
When was the last time you listened to the greeting on your voicemail? And people go,
maybe when you recorded,
and how many years ago was that, right? And so I go back and the reason I say that is that it made an impact on me because people say, oh, I love leaving you a message because your voicemail is so positive. And I didn't intend it that way, but it does make an impression on people. And so what happens is that if you, like, I have one gentleman in my network and it's basically, this is my name, leave a message. No, I have to leave him a message. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so bad. I feel depressed.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, it's very monotone, very direct, whatever. But at the same time, it's part of your marketing. Everything is part of your marketing. And if you think of it marketing that way, it's never a task to be done or a line item on your expense sheet. It's something that you do every day and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. You don't have to do these huge, massive campaigns and then wait and do nothing. It's a little bit all the time.
Yeah. Such a good point. I have a story around that, Alisa, what you just mentioned. I have a friend, who goes to same gas station. She's been going to the same gas station for almost 7-8 years now. And I was talking to her. I said, listen, you go to that gas station all the time, but there's 3 gas stations before that. That you pass by the time you get to. And so I was wanting to know what's going on. Why do you only go to that gas station? She told me a story. She said, every time I go to the gas station in the morning, first of all, owner's out there greeting all the customers. And the second of all, he always has water bottles, just giving water bottles free, just say, you may need a water when he goes. So he always handing out the water bottles. So it's a small items, but she said, it's just a customer service, that the way he treats the customers. I skipped 3 gas stations to go to that gas. This like a 5-6 kilometers from her house, but she only goes to the gas station. So it's not the price of gas may be cheaper somewhere. If she just wants to go to that gas station.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with my dry cleaner. I have probably 2 or 3 dry cleaners between me and the dry cleaner that I go to. Not as often anymore now, but I will go to that one because the customer service is just always exceptional. They remember my name when I walk in the door. They all of those things. They say, "Oh, how was your vacation?" I mean, they were just it's a relationship. It's not a transaction.
Mm-hmm.
And again, and you can apply this. I don't care how big your business is to whomever is listening to this. It doesn't matter how big your business is. You could be a solo entrepreneur, which is probably more important. But if you have like a 2,000 employee business, the problem with that is that you stop remembering the client experience and all you're worried about is the data and the numbers and like to try to survive sometimes. And so taking a pause, stepping back, asking yourself those questions is a really great way to figure out what 2024 is going to look like.
Very interesting. So let's talk about your journey, Lisa. How do you get so good at marketing? How do you get involved? So if you talk about your journey.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of different experiences in marketing. So I've worked B2B my entire life. So business to business my entire life. And so for me, as I sought out experiences that would improve not only my skills as a marketing and salesperson, but as a human being. So I have worked in recruiting. I have worked in leadership development. I have worked in financial services. I have worked in all of these things because it helped me understand the way people think and the way they process it. Not only that, but I also love to study psychology as well as having a life coach and doing all of the things that makes me not just better at marketing, but as a person who understands business as a whole. Because one of the things that people say that differentiate me from other marketing strategists in other agencies is that I look at the business and the business goals first. Where do you want to go? What do you want to accomplish? And how can marketing help get you there? And so instead of just, I have my own agenda, my agenda is whatever the agenda is of the business. And so that's the differentiator there. And so, but I've spent my entire career learning about all the different things about business. I learned about operations. I learned about finance. I learned about production and shipping and all of those things that need to be, that are involved in business. And how do I help marketing do better at whatever that is? So it's not, I don't look at marketing as a solo, like a singular function. It relates to everything: sales, operations, finance, literally everything in your business. Marketing has something to do with it.
It touches every part of your business, right? Whether it's the finance, sending clients invoices is a part of communication. How do you want to present it? How do you want to communicate? How you want to build the trust? So those little items, you can build the trust and have a proper communication if you connect that with the dots with the marketing as well, right? Whether it's accounting, whether it's a purchasing, whether it's a shipping, all of those interact with some sort of marketing, right? So because you're communicating with the client at the end of the day.
Because it's all part of customer service.
Yeah.
If sales promise one thing, but production and shipping can't fulfill that, there's a huge disconnect, and that affects the customer's experience.
Yeah.
So that is why I always like to talk about how the business goals are the very most important thing when it comes to the conversation I have with business owners. What are the business goals? What can I do to help? Because every part of your business affects the customer experience.
Very interesting. Yeah, if you can tap on a customer's experience, definitely, you can meet your goal much faster. Very interesting. Yeah. So how do you help out business leaders? You helping strategies as well. Who do you work with? Is it a marketing department? Is it a business leader you work with, Lisa? How do you help business leaders when they're trying to build a strategy?
I do work the business leaders first, the presidents, the CEOs, whatever your title is, chief inspiration officer, it doesn't matter, the top person, because marketing is definitely a top-down concept. And how do I say this delicately? I'm not interested in working with business owners who don't care about marketing. Like, that's their job. That's not the mindset of the business owners that I work with. The most successful business owners that I work with say marketing is just as important as anything else. and they understand it's just as important as all the other stuff that happens. So the mindset of the business owner is extremely important to me. And so what happens is I start there. And if there's a marketing department, a lot of the times they see me as a threat. When all I'm saying is I'm going to help you do your job better because I'm looking at it from the different perspectives.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the time, the business owners that I work with is that they don't have a marketing, like a dedicated marketing people yet. Like they have a person who does marketing. They don't have a marketing
That's
person.
a different, yeah.
Yeah. And so I help the person who's doing the marketing establish all of that. I've actually helped write job descriptions for somebody who needed a sales and marketing manager. I've helped them figure out what that looks like and how that would be. What are the job responsibilities? Because I've taken that from the business perspective and going, okay, this is what we're looking for. And so what I do is, okay, this is an overused word and I apologize for using it, but the synergy of what's actually happening, because I can't find a better word for it. Marketing brings everything together. And a lot of the business owners who understand that are the best people that I work with and have the most success, increasing the sales and more importantly, increasing the profitability of the sales that they have.
Yeah. Well, as a business leaders, I can speak for myself. I'm sure a lot of business leaders or business owners are in the same boat. We all come from technical background, or we were good at something and we built a business around it. So we're not expert at marketing. There's so many blind spots. We're not going to be able to build a strategy. That's why you need somebody like you to, look at a lot of blind spots. You have that experience. We don't. So simply looking at, hey, what is the best way I can get there? We all know we want to get to, all the way to maybe 1 to 10. 10 is our, the point where we want to get to, but we don't know how to get there, right? So that's where we need help from somebody like you. So simply look at those blind spots and help us get there faster.
Yeah. And a business owner who's just in it for the money, like I just want to get to 1 million in sales or 10 million in sales or 100 million, whatever that million sales is that they're trying to get to. That's all I care about. I don't care how we get there. Again, that's not the kind of business owner that I want to work with.
Yeah.
Because again, the Raebel mindset is understanding that marketing touches every single part of your business. And if you understand that and are willing to accept it and being coached on that, I have helped so many companies, increase their sales by double digits year after year, just by establishing that Raebel mindset of understanding that everything that you do in a day is marketing. And again, it's not these big, huge expenses is marketing. Marketing is a little bit at a time, just, keeping the nutrition going in the health of your business.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, no, definitely. I learned so much from our discussion, and definitely I encourage all business leaders to reach out to you, have for a discussion. Who knows where that can take you? What's the best place to find you, Lisa? Sorry, how can people connect with you? How can they find you?
So LinkedIn is a very good way to find me. So Lisa Raebel and Raebel Girl Marketing, I have both a company page and a personal page on that. Otherwise, Lisa at Raebel Girl Marketing is an email.
I'm obviously, below the videos.
All that good stuff. Yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best way, or email to get a hold of me. And so, on the website, you can find the book and the podcast that I have too, as far as the marketing support is concerned. But the best way is probably, through LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm going to include all those links below the video as well. Encourage people to, first of all, I want to acknowledge your time. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I learned, a lot about marketing. I'm not expert at it, but I'm always learning. I'm a student of marketing. So I learned so much from you. I'm definitely encouraging business leaders, whoever listening, who are watching, reach out to you for conversation. Who knows where the conversation can take you, right? Just have a connection. So any message you want to leave for business leaders who are trying to, grow their business or operationally, or, they're trying to grow the revenue levels, whatever they're trying to do, any message you want to leave for them?
Yeah, I would say, ask yourself the question, why do you need marketing in the first place? And then ask yourself the question are sales and marketing working nicely together? Are they playing nice in the sandbox is what I like to say. Are they working together? Or are they working against each other? If you're not looking at the business from the marketing from a holistic business point of view, and you're not looking at your sales and marketing as a team instead of like individual stuff, that's where I can come in and help increase the communication and the understanding and make things run very smoothly.
Was there some of those questions we talked about, Lisa? Were they also part of your book as well? Were they also mentioned if people get a copy of your book as well?
Yeah. So in the book, The Rebel Girl's Guide to Marketing, the first half of it is the 5 questions and going more deeply into that. The second half of the book is taking it deeper, talking about how networking on purpose is very important, talking about how everything is marketing, talking about how a referral business is very important, how to build that referral business. So the one thing about the book that's different than most business books is it has homework. And so what I do is with each chapter, I ask you to apply it to your own business. So it's not just learning, it's learning and application at the same time.
Definitely. Okay, I'm going to include a link for the book as well. I think people should get a copy of the book and learn so much. There's marketing is one of those area, like a business owners, we have no strength in this area, but we need to learn. I mean, you cannot scale a company without an understanding, deeper understanding of marketing, especially in a service business, or I think any business these days.
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yes, you too.